Now live from Stockton University, the resident Philadelphia Eagles fan of WMSC Sports and the assistant sports director, as well as the co-host of Upon Further Review with Sean Martin, every Friday 1 to 4. And, of course, one of the guys who will be on the call later on this afternoon, Tyler Monahan, is with us live from Stockton University. Tyler, how are you?
What's up, Sean? Great atmosphere here at Stockton. Just getting set up right now. Ready for a great call.
I want to talk to you specifically, and I know Sean talked to you yesterday. I want to have my chance now to talk to the resident Eagles fan about how he's feeling about a little over 24 hours before kickoff.
Well, I'm excited. You know, you can't be not excited when your team's in the Super Bowl. Definitely some nerves, but I think, you know, where the Eagles are in this season, as much as they've gone through, I'm not expecting anything. And, I mean, hopefully they can just come out and, you know, do what they do best, pressure Tom Brady, get to the quarterback, you know, make some passes. Don't expect too much out of Nick Foles. Let him do what he does best, complete the ball, and, you know, maybe end up with a win, maybe win the Super Bowl. It's crazy to actually think that the Eagles are at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said all day on the show that while the Eagles secondary has vastly improved since Ronald Darby came back, they really had some concerns in the last 5 games of the season. And I still think that there is room for concern, especially with guys like Brandon Cooks and Danny Amendola, and just the way that Brady found ways to tear apart the Jacksonville secondary 2 weeks ago. Do you have concerns with the secondary, or do you think they can shape up just like they did against Minnesota and Atlanta?
Well, I think it's kind of short-sighted to say there's no concerns. I mean, against the greatest quarterback of all time, you definitely have to be worried. And yeah, I mean, I think our cornerback group has been, you know, one of the points going into the year that it was going to be a struggle. And, you know, they've looked great at some points, and they've looked really bad at some points, I think. In this playoffs, I said it yesterday on Upon Further Review, I think they really need to go to a man coverage because against the Vikings, when they went to the zone, they only played zone coverage the Vikings' first drive, and the Vikings scored an easy touchdown, one of the easiest they've given up all year. You know, I think if they go to a man coverage, their cornerbacks are a little bit more handsy, they're a little bit more physical at the line of scrimmage, and I think Brandon Cooks or Danny Amendola or Chris Hogan, they might have a little bit more trouble getting off the line of scrimmage. So definitely Ronald Darby, I think he needs to really step up because he had a so-so game against the Vikings. I think he has a lot to prove, but overall I think he's been a great addition this year.
You and Sean said this, and I've said this and agreed with you as well, that the Vikings, in my opinion, after that first touchdown against the Eagles, yes, the Eagles changed their game plan and it worked to perfection. I believe that at 7-0, the Vikings were thinking Super Bowl at home, and that's what cost them. And to me, I think not necessarily that the Eagles have a similar situation, but they are probably thinking we could be the first team to bring a championship, a Super Bowl title to Philadelphia. How do they keep those feelings out of their head, and how do they get the job done tomorrow night despite all the pressure?
It's going to be hard. I mean, with so much emotion in this city and with this team, you know, being underdogs all postseason, I should say, it's going to be hard not to just think about, you know, one win away from winning the Super Bowl. It's going to be a really tough task. I mean, bringing down the New England Patriots, whether it be the Super Bowl or just a regular season game, it's never easy. I guess you just got to keep that out of your head. You got to keep all that emotion kind of off the field and just go out there and play with the tenacity that they've played with all season. It's definitely going to be a different environment for the team. We do have 6 players with Super Bowl rings, as well as Doug Peterson with a Super Bowl ring. So there are different players that have the experience in the big game that we definitely need. So I think that's definitely going to help a young team like the Eagles. It's going to be a battle.
Obviously, besides Tom Brady, who do you see on New England being the biggest threat to Philadelphia's defense?
I'd have to go with any of the running backs, the pass-catching running backs they have, whether it be Deion Lewis or Rex Burkhead, James White. That's what really makes me nervous because they have so many of those guys that have a similar game. And Tom Brady, he doesn't need to, you know, step back and wait for a wide receiver to develop his route. He can kind of just dink and dunk outside to the running backs. You know, it's no secret that one of the Eagles' best positions is, you know, the front 4. So they can get to Tom Brady, but, you know, Tom Brady might be able to get it out very quickly. And it's going to be very questionable if the Eagles can get to Tom Brady because he has that ability. So I definitely think the running backs are going to have a big effect on this game for the Patriots.
And on the other side of it, too, I mean, you look at guys like on Nick Foles, on Nelson Aguilar, Ertz, you look all these guys who are playing in the biggest game of their lives. And I mentioned this before, that Nick Foles had a career performance against Minnesota. He wasn't exactly as efficient in the Atlanta game, but the defense did a great job in keeping Atlanta at bay. When it comes down to Nick Foles, I said earlier in the show, he has to have the greatest game of his career tomorrow night to get the job done. What do you think he has to do to get that job done?
Well, I've been saying this all season since he's come in for Carson Wentz. He just needs to keep the ball in his hands. He can't turn the ball over. And that's what he's done really well so far this season. I mean, he hasn't given the other team opportunities to score off turnovers. He's giving his team good offensive drives. Whether they score or not, they're keeping the ball in their hands. They're chewing up some clock, and I think that's what he really needs to stick to this game. He doesn't have to come out and throw these, crazy long passes. We saw it a little bit more against Minnesota. I think he's starting to get really warmed up to what he can do. So that's definitely interesting, the possibility that he can make these kind of plays down the field that he didn't when he first started. But I definitely think he just needs to, stay even keel, not let the emotion get to him, and just do what he does best. Stay to the more intermediate routes, not make any crazy throws, and don't turn the ball over. And I think there's definitely a solid chance that the Eagles could win this game.
Last question for you, Tyler. I'll let you go. I know you got a game to get ready for in just under a half hour. Game prediction, Eagles or Patriots, who are you taking and why?
I'm going to take the Eagles 27-20. Alshon Jeffrey, 2 touchdowns receiving, along with a Jay touchdown and 2 field goals. And the Eagles will be celebrating with the Lombardi Trophy.